Okay, hi, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday we talked about the Global Risk Report 2022 and some of the risks that they are reporting over the next decade. But today I wanted to come back to the risk report and not look at the next decade, but I wanted to look at the next 0 to 2 years as forecast on their report here. What are the biggest concerns over the next 2 years that we all need to be aware of? So we're going to go straight to the shared screen then, and we're going to go over this document here and look at the top risks for 2022 and 2023. So let's start by looking at page 25 of the World Economic Forum Global Risk Reports 2022, which talks about the global risks horizon and when these risks will become a critical threat, and again, this is their words, not mine, to the world. Now, we've already talked about environmental and weather and things. I'm not going to get into any of that. What I want to focus on is the things that I often talk about, such as livelihood, wages, income, household budgets, social cohesion. I don't talk about this a lot, but I do talk about the knock-on effect of the breakdown in society, of the wealth divide. This is just historical. You can, look this up quite easily. The more this wealth divide increases between the rich and the poor, the more societal tension there is and breakdowns. So of all the respondents asked, 30.4% expects the world to have a livelihood crisis in the next 0 to 2 years. And I would definitely agree with that. I think we are going to see a breakdown, especially in a lot of nations, of their economies. Unemployment is going to run rampant, and we are going to go into recessions, possibly even a global recession, especially if it's West-led, the United States or the European Union, the United Kingdom. But I think predominantly if the United States goes into a large-scale recession, which is looking likely right now because of the high oil prices and the inflation that's hitting the economy, it is looking like we will be in a recession by the end of 2022. So the livelihood crisis is definitely possible. This would then result, yes, in social cohesion erosion. In other words, the breakdown of relationships in society, more violence, more crime, etc. And then here's an interesting one that I wanted to draw your attention to: mental health deterioration. Very contentious, controversial topic here that wasn't really allowed to be talked about, the mental health deterioration. Although we're now seeing all of the data coming out on this as a result of lockdowns and all the media, just constant fear from the media, 10 times a day, putting that into people. We already knew this from the medical studies, the psychological studies that were put out by a lot of psychotherapists, etc. We already knew that the lockdowns would have a detrimental effect on people's mental health. Now reports have come in. There's a lot of reports that have shown this. So I definitely think this is a real possibility as well. We also have, though, cybersecurity failure. A lot of people were commenting yesterday saying, I'm glad there's nothing about cyber attacks and threats and things. No, unfortunately, ladies and gents, there is a lot around this. I just didn't talk about it very much yesterday. Debt crises, again, a big one, 19.3%. Asset bubbles bursting. I think this is a very real possibility. I would put it a lot higher than 14.2%. But let's go to the appendix now, then Appendix A. This is very, very important. This is your descriptions of global risk 2022. So here we get a little more granular on what they mean by these economic crises. So number one, asset bubbles burst in large economies. So this is the price for, here it is, housing, investment funds, shares, and other assets in a large economy increasingly disconnect from the real economy. I think we've already seen the disconnect already occur. We just haven't seen the housing, investment fund shares, and other large assets coming down in value yet, although we have seen it in the NASDAQ and some of the stock markets have started to reduce. Number two then, this is crucial right now. So the collapse of a systemically important global industry or firm with an impact on the global economy. Well, this has just happened this week. The oil industry. This is exactly what we're seeing. An industry, oil, energy, what feeds the economy. It is energy. The next thing I think we are going to see as well is this corporate or public, I think is more important, finance is overwhelmed by debt accumulation. We talked yesterday that the debt to GDP ratio for a lot of countries now, well, globally, is around 97% as of today's recording of the video. It varies very slightly each week, but it's around 97% right now. And what do they say this will result in? It will result in mass bankruptcies, default, insolvency, liquidity crises, or sovereign debt crisis. Exactly what I talked about last week, and also about bank bail-in. So there's no longer bailouts, the laws have changed to now bail-in. We're also very close to the failure to stabilize price trajectory. So I actually think this will move into price controls. I just don't know when exactly that's going to happen, but we're definitely at this phase where there is an inability to control an unmanageable increase, so inflation, in the general price levels of goods or services. And then let's just move down to this part of the economic stagnation. So near zero or slow global growth resulting for many years. Finally then, severe commodity shocks. Abrupt shocks to the supply and demand of systemically important commodities. Again, what have we seen? Oil, natural gas. We've just seen nickel this week just explode. We're seeing commodity prices explode. And here it says, at a global scale that strain corporate, public, or household budgets. What are we seeing right now? Household budgets. And here they break it down: chemicals, emissions, energy, foods, metals, minerals. We're basically seeing everything that they've put out in this report. Now, the last point I want to mention is the mental health here. Now, they give a description: pervasiveness of mental health ailments and or disorders globally and across multiple demographics, negatively impacting well-being, social cohesion, and productivity. Again, what have we seen? Productivity has fallen off a cliff. Anxiety, record highs. Dementia, interesting. Depression, loneliness, stress, etc. Again, this is all coming to pass. I highly recommend you looking at this report, looking at the documents here, reviewing this report. It does take about an hour or so, maybe a couple of hours if you really want to dig into it, very granular, but it is worth a read. You will learn a lot from it. So definitely check it out. And if you haven't seen yesterday's video, I'll pop it on screen now so that you can go and watch yesterday's video and get some more of the data points. All right, take care. God bless. See you next time.